Spokane, Spoklahoma, Spokanistan, Spokangelas, and Spokompton. Some of the fun names for a place that I grew up in. Well, I lived in North Idaho, but I spent most of my weekends at this working farm right here. More on that later. In my 20s, I worked in Spokane. I lived in Spokane, and I spent more hours running up and down these streets than I can count with my shoes and socks off, so I know it's over 20. But I still think it's one of the best big little cities in America, but there's a reason I don't live here anymore, and I'm not sure it's ever gonna change. People always tell me they're thinking about moving to Spokane because of the lifestyle, affordability, and outdoor access, but there's one big trade-off. One reason I walked away, and one reason I would tell you to think very carefully before planting roots here. Here's what people first notice when they come into Spokane. The traffic and road conditions. Spokane's population isn't huge when comparing it to cities like Seattle, LA, or Portland, but it's packed in pretty tight. Think of Chris Farley in a medium-sized sport coat.
Richard, what's happening?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Going 3 miles can sometimes take 20 or more minutes. It's not the end of the world, but it's pretty annoying. Mostly because it's not a smooth ride. There's a crap ton of potholes you have to dodge, unless you don't mind replacing your shocks every single year. And you would think with the endless amounts of construction all year round that Spokane would eventually catch up. Nope. There's a higher likelihood that the unredacted Epstein files get released to the public than there is that Spokane catches up on their road construction. It's very unlikely. But hey, the city only takes like half your income in taxes, so they don't have the money to actually get the roads fixed. They need to tax us more. Okay, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but the taxes in Spokane do royally suck. Not like any taxes are great, but there's ow, and then there's please, for the love of God, stop taxing me. Spokane has a 9.1% income tax, a median property tax of 0.9%, a 55-cent per gallon tax on gas, a utility tax of 21.5%, and now they're proposing a 9.9% income tax. But don't worry, it's only for those making $1 million or more. There's no way they'll ever change that so that it applies to everybody. Idiots, sorry. Anyway, after the traffic, road conditions, and hefty taxes, you'll notice an incredible amount of marijuana dispensaries. Now, I know weed stores are legal in most states now, so you're probably used to it, but Spokane is plump with them. There are over 30 weed shops in the big little city, and they aren't exactly shy when it comes to marketing where they are. But none of these issues are the reasons I left Spokane. Hey, just a quick message for you wonderful people looking at moving to North Idaho or Spokane, Washington. We are here to answer any questions you might have and help you find the place that will fit your lifestyle the best. So text or call us or email us or scan this QR code to talk with me or my team. You can schedule an appointment on there and we can help you figure out where the best place is going to be for your lifestyle. All right, back to the video. When I think of Spokane, I get memories of running around in the hayfields, milking goats, and swimming in ponds that smelled like my grandmother's dirty dentures. I know that sounds a little bit gross, and it was, but it was honestly one of the best parts of my childhood. Spokane is where I learned to appreciate things, like how much work goes into growing your own food. We weren't sitting around staring at screens, we were out bucking hay, feeding animals, and letting boredom motivate us to take risks. Like building giant tree forts without any form of safety equipment whatsoever. It was awesome. When I finally moved there in my 20s, I got to meet hundreds of people working as a telecommunications technician. That's a fancy word for cable guy. Yes, I was a cable guy, and I absolutely loved it. I got to meet people like Stu Evie, who created ESPN, the local weatherman from KXLY, and dozens of local business owners. That job gave me a window into Spokane that most people never get to see. And almost everyone I met was kind, friendly, and genuinely cared about their community. I love Spokane because they invested in creating beautiful parks and having amazing hiking trails. They put on incredible events like Bloomsday, Hoop Fest, and Pig Out in the Park. Pig Out in the Park is basically an event where everyone sees how much greasy food they can eat before they have a heart attack.
Bing, bing, there we go, yes, sir.
It's a pretty good time. But going to these events and seeing thousands of people coming together and having a good time was really a beautiful thing. And as a young guy, I really loved the cost of living in Spokane because it was even more affordable than Idaho. The first house I rented was, go ahead and sit down, $500 a month. I know. And I made a lot more in Spokane than I could in Idaho. Of course, that was 15 years ago and times have changed significantly, but Spokane is still significantly more affordable than North Idaho. And I do still love going to Spokane. They still have some of the best restaurants, concerts, and comedy shows. I just couldn't continue to live there for one specific reason. And that reason wasn't Spokane's crime rate, even though it's a major factor. Spokane's crime rates sit well above the national average in several categories. Overall crime is 5,500 plus incidents per 100,000 residents. To put that in perspective, that's about 160% higher than the national average. I mean, that's not even close. That's so bad. It's so bad. Violent crime is 675 per 100,000 versus 359 nationally, and property crime is 4,800 per 100,000 versus 1,700 nationally. They've actually funded studies to try and figure out why Spokane's crime rate is so much higher than the national average, and this is what they found. Because the cost of living in Seattle is so much higher than Spokane, a lot of violent criminals and sex offenders choose to relocate to Spokane after being released from prison. So yeah, it's just a basic economics issue. I always thought it was something in the water, and I guess this does make a lot more sense, but I still think there might be some in the water. There's also the issue of homelessness and substance use. Again, not the reason I left, but another big factor. While recent counts show that homelessness is on the decline, visually it's still a massive problem. Spokane was one of those brilliant cities that thought the solution for this problem was to stop prosecuting open drug use and low-level theft, which for some reason only made the issue worse. That's so weird. How when you stop prosecuting crime, it doesn't make the criminals stop breaking the law. No one could have seen that coming. Nobody. Anyway, Spokane's homeless issue does seem to be dwindling now that they're enforcing the laws again, but it's still an issue for small businesses and the locals. But here's the actual reason I couldn't stay in Spokane and will more than likely never move back. The ruinous empathy of the elected officials. The people of Spokane have huge hearts, so huge that it often takes all the blood from their brains and leads them towards ideas that go against their best interests. Spokane votes liberal. No matter how bad things get, they won't vote any other way because they're convinced that the other side is racist, bigoted, and self-serving. Even though things keep getting worse, they refuse to believe it's the fault of the people in charge. But the fact is, when you put the needs of a few above the safety and well-being of the many, it doesn't make you an empathetic person, it makes you a bad leader. Sure, it sounds really good to say we're taking care of those that can't take care of themselves. But when you do it on someone else's dollar and at the expense of other people's well-being, you're not a saint, you're a villain. Look, I love the city of Spokane. I think it's an amazing city with massive potential. But as long as the locals keep voting for the people that benefit from the problems and not from fixing them, I can't go back. I won't go back. I refuse. And I feel like everyone looking at moving to Spokane deserves to know that reason. But if you're coming from a worse place like, I don't know, Detroit, Minneapolis, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Seattle, Portland, I know. There's a few places. There's still a lot to like. Compared to big coastal metros with crushing costs and political extremes, Spokane still offers an attractive lifestyle. There's a lot of really beautiful areas outside of downtown that offer the kind of childhood I grew up in and are far enough away from the issues of downtown to provide a safe environment for you and your family. I have more videos on Spokane and Idaho, so make sure you check those out and be sure to reach out to us if you are interested in moving to either place. We'd love to talk with you. I think this was good. I don't know.
We will see.
What if I forgot to hit record? That would suck.